Welcome back to our live show here on Thursday, Sheffield Live TV, with journalist Richard Fidler, a fellow football writer, and Mike Tuck, the long-serving captain of Sheffield Sharks basketball team, with big matches coming up. Gregg joins us here for his roundup, but before we do, we're going to return to that big news of the evening, the statement from Sheffield United about the transfer of power at Bramall Lane from between the joint owners, from Kevin McCabe to Prince Abdullah. And James, you've been following the forums, so what's been the general reaction?
Yeah, just been sort of trying to get a feel for it whilst the first half was going on in here, and just having a look online at some of the forums, you know, s24su.com, that's a big Sheffield United fans forum, thousands and thousands of members on there, trying to get a feel. And the general consensus, Alan, is that you've got people who don't really know how to feel about it. I think that there's one of the posts, the original post on it is saying big thanks to Kevin McCabe because everything that he's done has been amazing. His legacy will be the academy and the stadium, you know, keeping that up to date, you know. But then on the other side of that, people are now thinking, well, what's in it for the Prince? Why is the Prince wanting to do this now? Is it McCabe's decision? Is it the Prince's? McCabe's turning 70 years old. Maybe he's wanted to take a back seat. He's still got sons on the board.
Yeah. He's hinted that quite often in the past, and yet I've always regarded those hints in much the same way as hints from Neil Warnock about retiring as a football manager. I've seen them in exactly the same light, sometime never. And he's a very youthful 70 if he's approaching 70
Absolutely.
as well.
I think a lot of the fans there, I think they're thinking, well, the Prince, does this mean that he's going to now start pumping lots of money in? Was there something before that meant that Kevin McCabe couldn't match what the Prince wanted to put in? Is that a reason for him sort of handing over the power? Or is the Prince wanting to line his pockets? And I think there's a few people, I heard on a caller on BBC Radio Sheffield earlier on my way down to the programme this evening, that somebody was saying that he lived in Saudi Arabia, he was aware of the Prince long before his involvement with Sheffield United. He took over a club in Saudi Arabia and sort of sold all the players and then left. So he lined his pockets, and I think that's sort of getting a few tails up as well on the Blades forums.
Conversely to that view, there's the view of the opportunity that's there for a team just outside the playoffs.
Got to take a leap of faith at some point, otherwise you're not going to get that big investment that the fans so want.
Well, that's the one that when Prince Abdullah came, he specifically said in the press conference, if there's anything in this for me, it's getting this club 2 divisions up to the Premier League, when of course there are big rewards. So why would you take the route of saying, oh, what's it worth now, when what it could be worth tomorrow? And if they don't go up this year, who's to say that with a bit more investment they can't do it next year?
I think that's ultimately that's what they want. They want the stability and the sort of the fans' investment. You know, Prince Abdullah, he's been involved with Sheffield United for long enough now. He sees how the club operates. He sees that the fans are very involved and are always watching what's going on in the hierarchy. He's not stupid to that. He knows that, and I think that the McCabe's continued involvement, whether that's in a vice presidential role or something, is probably quite imperative.
Well, I think it's good that it's been resolved anyway, because it's been hanging over. The undercurrent has been there. Certainly, it's been there as a rumour all week, and at least it's been cleared up.
Correct.
Or appears to be cleared up, even though there are still many questions about what the future holds. More questions than answers, as I said at the start. Just typical of many tweets that I've had has been this one from Bats, who says, McCabe's been a steady and safe owner, sceptical about foreign owners, but to push on we need big investment. Time will tell if it's right. And I think that's a pretty fair approximation of the way people are feeling, that ultimately there was going to be some kind of buyout here. Somebody else was going to come forward. And if it's Prince Abdullah, then it's Prince Abdullah. And we'll see, you know, it's unfair to prejudge what he might or might not do.
At least he's been there a while, and he's not just coming in completely afresh and wading in and trying to change things up straight away. I think, you know, that's a good thing.
And Kevin McCabe, if it's retirement for him from football, he well deserves it, because I think that overall, you know, I know there's been ups and downs, but I think he's, you know, I think he's been a very good custodian for Sheffield United, and the academy is a wonderful legacy.
Oh, absolutely.
To leave in terms of what it produces.
Fantastic.
You know. So that's the view. Anyway,
it is, yeah.
Thanks, James. We'll come back to you for your roundup shortly. I'm going to say, you two have taken a big risk in being here tonight because of what tends to happen to guests. Last week, Simon Moore, the Sheffield United goalkeeper, sat over there. And dear, oh dear, what happened to him? He got sent off on, you know, a couple of days later at Wolves, when he was coming for a ball that he simply had to keep committing to try and get outside the area. Before we come to Mike again, Richard, the Sheffield United Leeds game at the Lane, I would think that inside Bramall Lane there would have been some groans this week about the change of manager, because of what often follows a change of manager. Leeds have been on a slide, haven't they?
They have, and I saw a few people commenting before Heckingbottom got announced that they were going to have the caretaker manager problem, where the players start playing for for whoever's going to come next. I think that's obviously gone, but I think somebody like Heckingbottom coming in with a very good reputation, there'll still be a bounce from the players. I think there'll still be a chance to impress the new guy, and there may even be a bit of a tweak to the Leeds system, which will throw maybe Chris Wilder's preparations in terms of setting them up to play Leeds. It's going to be a really good game. I'm very much looking forward to it, because I've seen both clubs this season. I've been more impressed by Sheffield United than Leeds United. But you just have that sort of feeling that it could be a really good time for Leeds to play them. Otherwise, with the previous manager in charge, I'd have fancied Sheffield United to win, knowing how much Chris Wilder gets his players up for these sort of games.
Yeah, he tends not to bow to the opposition tactics anyway.
Really,
this is the way we're going to play what you do. He had a similar problem, if you like, if you want to call it a problem, when the Blades played the Owls. Sheffield Wednesday had a new manager and there was a change of system.
There was, and looking at that one now, you obviously have to take derbies in isolation at times, but United must be absolutely kicking themselves that they didn't beat Wednesday. That was such a big opportunity, not only to beat them, but to beat them well, to really put a marker down. And having seen Wednesday last weekend, I'm not quite sure how they escaped Bramall Lane with a point, because Wednesday was absolutely woeful. Yeah. First defeat under the new manager, granted, but I think they don't look a great team at the moment.
And I think that the sense of team that Sheffield United have got, I think Sheffield Wednesday are miles off that at the moment somehow, with that squad, the uncertainty, the rotation, the injuries.
Definitely, I think that's all contributed to it. But that was the thing that was immediately coming out when Carlos left, that the team was beginning to sort of gel together and they were fighting and grinding for points. But against Birmingham, it all fell apart. Now, the players that were playing really, for the most part, shouldn't be near the first team. There's so many players out and it's not like-for-like replacements. But even so, Birmingham aren't good. Let's be honest, they're not a very good team. But you could just look at their side and think, these guys can all cut it in the Championship, where there was probably 3 or 4 Wednesday players where you thought they shouldn't really be on this pitch.
And what sort of reaction are we going to see from Sheffield Wednesday this weekend, do you think?
Well, they're now in the problem, playing against a team that just lost the manager. And
same thing. Both Sheffield teams have got it.
Caretaker. I think you know what you're going to get at Barnsley. The fans are going to be well up for it. I think they'll be disappointed to lose Paul Heckingbottom as a manager, but that'll be forgotten for the 90 minutes as they
shouldn't be bitter towards him. I think the mistake that managers make when they sign new deals is to do this undying loyalty bit. They should really knock that on the head, because you can't say that. No,
and I think the comments Paul Heckingbottom made about Sam Winnell when he left, I think there's a few subtle digs there. You shouldn't really do it, because the next thing you know, you're getting a big offer from a bigger club.
I think he was let down over 1 or 2 of them. I think they were written for him by a PR person at Barnsley.
That's terrible.
And you know what? That wasn't you. Sure.
Well, I spent the best part of a few days in holiday answering tweets from Barnsley fans after I'd replied to something that the Barnsley Twitter feed had put out. Yeah,
you did.
I know.
Yes.
And
there was a bit of banter, shall we say? On Twitter.
Yeah. I just didn't think the club should have put something out that was kind of against a fan of another club. He was fine with it, actually. He got in touch with me. But I just thought, no, you shouldn't really be stirring up that. Leave that to the fans if they want to have a go at each other, but don't let a club start it off.
That's a fair point. Mike, any excuse to play the footage we're about to see? We did a few weeks ago. We're about 1 of 1.5 million stations and cable companies or whatever around the world, outlets, YouTube outlets that have actually the Dirk Williams score.
Big one for us. Yeah, Dirk Williams dunk. We've coined him Dirk the Dunk Williams after that one. It was the dunk that was kind of seen worldwide, and we were playing against Surrey, and he came down right at the end of the game, and it was a big play. It was a big moment in the game because we needed the basket, but what a basket it was. You know, he's an athletic kid, but we hadn't really seen that from him.
Should we have a look?
Yeah,
Should we have a look at it again?
Please.
So
Here we are,
Yeah,
Dirk Williams.
And it does. There's Rublicki. And they need to get over the court quickly. Oh, my goodness me! What a play that was!
So that was a huge play, and you know, next thing you know, after the game, the Sharks posted it on our social media, and it just took off.
Off the scale.
Yeah, it just kept getting picked up by all the big basketball media outlets from you know, all over the UK and then all over the States, and then next thing you know, it was ESPN Sports Center top 10. It was on their top 10.
You've played a long time. Where does that stand in the dunks that you've seen?
Oh well, I mean, one of our social media guys coined it, you know, the play of the century, you know, in terms for Sharks.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of dunks, that absolutely huge dunk, and you know, making it to ESPN top 10 is like, you know, kind of the pinnacle for any type of sports play for me at least. So
what effect has this had on him personally in terms of his social media status?
Oh, I think he went. I think he had like 5,000 followers in a day or something like that. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, it completely.
Now we know what we've got to do.
Yeah,
that's it. You just got to go viral. That's all it is.
I was going to say, we can all hit a 4, we can all score a goal.
Yeah.
But we can't. Well, you can at some point. Yeah.
You can't do.
You can't do that. It's just, you know, unless you know. I've seen
There
Mike do.
Yeah.
I've seen Mike dunk plenty of times.
Yeah.
But you know, you've got to be a certain athletic ability and a certain size to be able to get there.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it, you know, all the more remarkable.
It's just fantastic.
Did you ever do stuff like that in practice? You know, that kind of stuff must happen a lot in practice.
Yeah, you see that kind of stuff. I mean, in practice, usually you kind of get out of the way because you don't want to get hurt or anything like that. So. That player was trying to take an offensive foul and get a charge, but he was within. There's an arc under the basket, and if you're within that arc, you can't get a charge call.
Right.
So his feet were blatantly inside the arc. So he took the brunt of it and got dunked on, and it's been seen worldwide. So poor guy for him.
Poor guy, yeah.
But great for Dirk. Yeah, I think he posted that on his Instagram, and it got like 20 or 30,000 views in like the first day or two that he posted it.
That's so cool.
It's just the power of social media and the way, you know, the viral content goes around the world now so quickly.
What's that done, A, for Sheffield Sharks and B, for the sport?
Well,
something like that.
Well, definitely, in terms of the Sharks social media, we saw a huge rise in numbers and views, and it just kind of resonated the weeks after that. So that was great, and people want to see more stuff from Dirk now. And then I think for the BBL as a league, I think it really you know, kind of got us out there a little bit on the world sphere.
Because even somebody who doesn't follow the sport, who's never seen it before, can be captivated by
exactly.
that,
And you know, people watching it over in North America or whatever, they might not even know there is a British league, basketball league. So, you know, I think it's great that we kind of reach that platform and it's broadcast out.
If they come over here as well, and they've got a few days in Sheffield for whatever reason, or they're on business sort of nearby, they're probably going to be inclined now to come and watch a BBL game, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you never know where people see things or how, you know, it reaches people. So, you know, a dunk like that, not only great for him as a player and great for our team and for the club, but also for the league and the sport in general in this country. So, big play.
It's tripled our audience as well, isn't it?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have it on every week.
Yeah, we should do.
It's just terrific. It really is. And he wasn't grounded in that moment, but as he stayed.
Oh no,
grounded?
no. Dirk's a great kid. He's a very humble kid, and he's very grounded, and he's been one of our most consistent players. It's his first year out as a professional, and he's doing a great job. And he's, you know, that play is one great play, but he's had many great plays like that throughout the season. He can do a bit of everything. He can do that. He can shoot from outside. I believe he's leading our team in blocks too. So he's good effort on defense. So yeah, he's a good all-around player and a great kid as well.
Well, it's fantastic to see individuals within a tight team framework. David Brooks. Now here's one that Sheffield United hopefully now can start to bring back into play at a crucial time. Just an element that I feel that they've missed.
Definitely, yeah. I've seen him a couple of times this year and been very, very impressed by him. reminds me of the other side of the city, Chris Waddle, in the way that he drifts into position, and he doesn't appear to have burning pace, but he's quick enough. It's just the way that he moves with the ball, leaves people trailing behind him. He's clever. He seems to be fit. I know he's been ill, and I was unfortunate enough to have glandular fever, so I hope he's had sufficient rest, because it really is a nasty illness and drains you long after you think you're ready. But in terms of a young player coming through our area, he's very exciting, really, really exciting, and he's had a very good upbringing, I think, through Manchester City, I think he was, before he came to Sheffield United. I hope he's well, and I just hope he finishes the season as well as he started, because he really is exciting to watch.
I think he's going to be used in short bursts, because, which points to the bench rather than starting.
But I think the biggest testament to him is how much United's missed him. For somebody so young and relatively inexperienced in Championship football, the fact that they've not been able to adequately replace him just shows how good he was at the start of the year.
There have been so many tight games when you felt just 5 minutes of him could just tip it.
Well, he scored a great goal up at Ellen Road.
It did,
it may have been his first
goal.
It
was.
And it's just, it gets in defenders' brains. The Jack Hunt incident that got one of two bits on social media as well. Defenders don't like to be made to look daft, and that gives you that player that extra yard or that extra little bit of space, and you give it to someone like Brooks, and he'll destroy you.
I dare say we can't sit here and not mention Carlos Carvalho. I know that certain supporters would like us not to, and you can understand it, Al's fans. I wrote a column about him last week, and I thought, that's all I'm saying until he's potentially back at Hillsborough, which he is now. I think he wanted to be as well, judging from Swansea's 8-1 victory over Notts County. And I see a picture of him today handing out Portuguese cakes to journalists, which he's done.
The cheek of it. He came in here and didn't bring anything.
He didn't, did he? He'd not read the contract properly.
No.
Whatever you think of him, and there's certainly been a division of opinion, he's got charisma, hasn't he?
Oh, he has. I know some of the local journals really well, and they've got their own different opinions of him at the moment. I always like watching him being interviewed, particularly the first couple of years when things were going well. He's one of these managers where if things are going well, everything that he says is, oh, that's brilliant, I'm glad he said that. He says the same thing when you're losing, and he looks a little bit of a... I don't know how to describe it, you know what I mean? And I think he will want to beat Wednesday more than anything. He'll come back and he'll say all the right things. This is my home, he's already said, and it'll be lovely. But nothing will give him greater pleasure than beating Wednesday at Hillsborough.
Right, yeah. We'll talk about Jos Luhukai in a moment. A very different type of person. James, I nearly forgot. Sorry, mate. Going to rattle through his roundup.
Right, we'll rattle through it. Not long left of the programme, but big weekend for the two Championship clubs in the city. Of course, we've already touched on it, but Blades on television. 12:30 against Leeds under new manager Paul Heckingbottom, who's just left Barnsley, and Barnsley is the venue for Sheffield Wednesday. 12:15 kick-off in that one. Big match, and Jos Luhukai, who Alan's just mentioned, he'll be looking for a reaction from his players in that one. A weekend off for Sheffield FC. They play against Spalding on Tuesday night, whilst Hallam FC, they play the second of 3 consecutive home games at Sandergate against East Yorkshire Carnegie on Saturday. Our ladies' sides as well in the city, developing a lot of interest due to their success at the moment. Having said that, Sheffield FC ladies, they lost in the FA Cup to Durham on Sunday, narrowly, but a chance to bounce back in the Women's Super League 2 against Watford on Sunday at away from home against Watford. In the FA Women's Premier League, Sheffield United Community Ladies, to give them their proper name, they actually smashed 10 goals past Rotherham United last Sunday. So, yeah, pretty good. And they won 5-0 the week before.
I saw Carla Ward saying there was room for improvement as well, I think, following the 10.
They're going places under Carla Ward, definitely. They play against Radcliffe Olympic on Sunday at Shirecliffe again. So if you want to see some more goals, I bet that Shirecliffe on Sunday morning is your place to head. Rugby Union Tigers, they ended that abysmal run finally of 9 straight defeats. They beat Macclesfield at Dormoor, away at Otley this weekend, and Sheffield play against Hinckley as well, who are second placed in that table. That's after a 19-point defeat last weekend. In Rugby League, it was the start of the championship season for the Sheffield Eagles. They lost narrowly to Dewsbury Rams, 20 points to 18 away from home. Of course, they're playing the first 6 matches of the season away from home whilst they get the Olympic Legacy Park in order for them to play. They've got Halifax this Sunday. Ice hockey, Sheffield Steelers, they've got games coming up them thick and fast as well. Goals galore in the double headers at home last weekend. They lost to Manchester on the Sunday, but that was after a big win against the Panthers on Saturday, who incidentally they're playing against this Saturday as well before a trip down to Guildford on Sunday. Mike can tell us about the Sharks in just a moment. Of course, big weekend coming up. I know you spoke about it in the first half, Mike. But the Sheffield Hatters, that's the amazing women's team that we've got here in the city. They tamed the London Lions last weekend, now 4th in the women's standings. And we'll wrap this up as well because the Winter Olympics begin in South Korea, Pyeongchang. There's 3 athletes competing from Sheffield, all in the freestyle events. Katie Summerhayes, James Woods, look out for him as well with his cool tattoos and his long locks, and Peter Spate, 25 years old, all in South Korea representing Team GB over the next couple of weeks. The freestyle events, they take place between the 18th and the 23rd, so it'd be cool if they could bring back a few medals back to the Steel City, wouldn't it? Mike, big weekend for you.
Huge weekend, yeah. We play the league leaders, Leicester Riders, Friday night, tomorrow night at 7:30 at the EIS. Big game for us, would help us kind of move up the table. And then Sunday we play the Worcester Wolves in the second leg of the trophy final, our trophy semifinal, which we talked about before, and we tied them in the first game last night. So Sunday will be 0-0. So a win there would get us to the final, to the BBL Trophy final, which is up at the Emirates Arena in Glasgow.
Get down to the EIS.
Yeah, get down. We need your support, Sheffield.
Just time for one more topic. Going across to Richard, Jos Luhukai. Very different character to Carlos Carvalho, very different in tactics so far, in methods and demeanour. And it disappoints me that I've already seen the first critics of his demeanour on the bench, that he's too impassive, he just stands with his arms folded. Does this matter? What do you think?
I don't think it matters. I think I've always said it's a player's game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the players that go out on the pitch and play. Now, they were playing well for Carlos before, and then they were playing terrible, and all of a sudden Carlos goes from being a good manager to being a bad manager. I think the time to judge the new Sheffield Wednesday manager when he gets his players back. I think he's dealing at the moment with a very understrength team, obviously, in a very difficult situation where confidence is low. I like his honesty in all his interviews that he's done. He doesn't beat about the bush. He doesn't try and...
It's the game that you've just seen, I find.
Yeah, his English isn't as good as Carlos's, and I'd get another discussion on social media about that, but it's not. He just can't get his ideas across as well just yet. But what he did say was very honest and very... well, I agreed with it anyway, so yes. I thought he's hit the nail on the head.
I particularly liked it after the victory by 3-1 in the FA Cup against Reading, which was a bit flattering in many ways because of the chances Reading had. I was getting hammered on social media, but he came out and said the same thing. Reading had numerous opportunities. So I like his honesty.
Yeah, I think that's all a manager should do, really, just be honest.
Right. Richard, thanks very much indeed. Mike, as ever, it's really good to see you, and very best of luck with those big fixtures over the weekend.
Good luck,
James,
Mike.
as ever, thank you to you. He's off to cover the Winter Olympics for 5 Live, by the way, overnight shifts. YouTube later if you missed the show. Repeat at 11. See you next week. Bye. Bye.